Earthquakes.
What are we looking at here? Is it A, a gnarly scar on the stomach of the great desert sand monster? B, a tear in the Earth's surface caused by tectonic plate movement? Or C, part of an ancient landing pad for UFOs?
If you answered A, you've been spending too much time with your nose in a fantasy novel. If you answered B, you're correct. And if you answered C, you'll have to come with us.
Don't think I don't know about the landing pad. I know the truth!
What you're looking at here is an image of the San Andreas Fault in California. The San Andreas Fault is notorious for having been the cause of some pretty destructive earthquakes. That includes the 1906 earthquake, one of the worst natural disasters in the history of the United States.
Oh no! It's an earthquake! So what is an earthquake? An earthquake is when the earth quakes.
Duh.
Oh no! All right. Most earthquakes originate from faults, like the San Andreas Fault. A fault is just a crack in the Earth's crust. Faults are created when rocks are put under stress, like, say, you stretch your t-shirt out so much that it tears. It's the same idea.
But where does all that stress come from? Why can't the rock just chill out?
Why don't you just chill out?
Dude, I'm roadkill. How much more chill can I get?
Usually the stress is caused by the movement of tectonic plates at plate boundaries. You see, faults are often found near plate boundaries. The San Andreas Fault, for example, is near the boundaries between the North American Plate and the Pacific Plate.
Okay, I don't want to talk smack or anything here, but are we noticing a pattern? Every time there's drama on Earth, it always goes back to those tectonic plates. For real.
For real. Every time these plates shift around, this puts more and more stress on nearby faults. This stress is setting the stage for an earthquake.
Rocks under stress have a tendency to bend or to break. Scientists call this deformation. But not all deformation leads to earthquakes.
When rocks under stress simply bend into a new shape, this is called plastic deformation. Plastic deformation does not lead to earthquakes.
Other types of rock are way more uptight. These rocks will stretch as far as they can without breaking, but eventually they will snap. Just like your mom freaking out after she tells you for the 5th time to clean the hermit crabs out of the microwave. Yeah. Scientists call this elastic deformation, when stressed rock stretches as far as it can before snapping back into place. Elastic deformation does lead to earthquakes.
Elastic deformation causes rock to snap back into place just like a slingshot. This snapping is called elastic rebound.
The snapping motion of the rock is what causes an earthquake. Actually, that snapping motion is the earthquake.
When the rubber band of a slingshot is let go of, energy is released. That's how the slingshot works. It's the same with elastic rebound. When the rock snaps back to its original position, energy is released.
This released energy travels through the Earth in waves called seismic waves. When we feel an earthquake, what we are feeling is the undulation of these seismic waves. The magnitude or size of the earthquake is determined by the size of the waves.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Foes of Toes Dance Company for their final performance of the controversial piece, Elastica.
Let's review. How do earthquakes happen?
Earthquakes happen at faults, places where stress put on the rock has caused it to crack open. Further stress causes the rock to deform. When rock is stretched so far that it suddenly snaps back into place, this snapping motion causes an earthquake.
Earthquakes occur at or near all different types of plate boundaries. Plate boundaries, remember, are the places where two tectonic plates meet and interact.
Earthquake safety.
An earthquake zone is an area where earthquakes are common. In other words, an earthquake zone is a place where there are lots of faults.
If you find yourself in an earthquake zone, you'll need to be prepared for the zombie apocalypse. Once an earthquake occurs, the zombies will crawl out in force from the bowels of the earth.
For people in zombie zones, earthquake zones, a common question is, when will the big one hit? Minor earthquakes happen all the time in earthquake zones, but big ones tend to be few and far between. As more and more time without a big one goes by, one of two things begins to happen. Either people completely forget that it is even a possibility, or they get so paranoid that they start spending all of their time sharpening machetes.
Predicting earthquakes is a tricky business, and here's why. Plate tectonic processes have been going on for millions of years. They operate on geologic time. So, scientists might be able to say, for example, that an earthquake at the San Andreas Fault is likely to occur sometime in the 20th century. In the grand scheme of geologic time, that's pretty darn specific. But for us humans, it's not very practical.
That's why if you live in an earthquake zone, it's important to be generally prepared, but not paranoid.
Make yourself a zombie kit. You'll need an armored car, some good footwear, and a few tubes of toothpaste. And remember, earthquakes may be hard to predict, but zombies are never your friends.